Yes.
literature section, जहाँ पे बच्चों को बुखार आ जाता है, फ्लैमिंगो एंड विस्टास से. So
Exactly.
basically, how to prepare about this section, because it comprises of 50% of the marks.
Exactly.
So if you can please throw some light on this.
Sure. Number one, as NEP 2020 has been implemented. So now only going through the summaries online is not going to work. This had been the formula till now. They will watch the videos online and then they'll go and give the exam and they'll score. Now it won't work only. It will work, but it's not the only thing. So the first and foremost thing is they have to go through the chapters and poetries word by word, line by line. And they need to visualize as the things are unfurling in the chapters and the poetries. Because when they will visualize the things, they will be connecting themselves emotionally also. And that is what the CBSE wants. CBSE doesn't want educated unemployed who are only having the knowledge. Now, the emotions, empathy, everything is required to deal with the situations. So, the visualization while reading is very, very recommended, very much recommended. Then they will be able to connect with the characters. They will be visualizing the events happening, the scene that is their background also. Because now the questions can come from any corner of the chapter or the poem. So knowing only the chapter is not going to work. You need to connect with the characters. You need to connect with the situations. Now, recently only one question was asked, why the author chose Franz, a school-going child, as a narrator of the chapter The Last Lesson. Now, this nowhere it is mentioned in the chapter. Okay. So if you just go by the content, you won't be able to answer this. But if you have felt the chapter, if you have visualized the chapter, you would be able to answer the question. So now these kind of questions are more and more. So the old way of preparing won't work now. You also need to evolve yourself with CBSE. So as I said, read the chapter word by word, line by line, and visualize them. And note down the change of tones, because the tones will also change as per the situations. Okay. Note down all the critical quotes spoken by different characters. And then you need to know that it is just good enough for your exam. If you do this, it takes care of everything. So again here, you need to read the questions carefully. Then only you should attempt the answer. Many a time students have a tendency to read first 3 words of the question and they will say, okay, this is the question. And they just start missing out on the next part of the question and they write something else only where they lose completely. So read the question carefully and then answer what is being asked. Now again, students many a times have a tendency to become Hanuman. Sanjeevani is asked and they bring the whole mountain for the teacher to find out the Sanjeevani. So for teacher, it is again a tedious task, but nevertheless, teacher will do justice to that while checking. But in the process, the child has wasted a lot of time, which costs him or her at the end. So be very, very specific with your answers. The word limits are already provided in the questions. They are there as a marker. If you exceed the word limit, no marks will be deducted for that, but then it is going to affect you time-wise. So stick to the word limits, answer the questions within those word limits so that you are able to complete everything on time, properly, judiciously with your own conviction. So that is what is important. Now for 2-mark questions, again, as I said in comprehension, they have to mention at least 2 points. Many times students, what they do is they repeat the same point in a different language. So they lose the marks over there. So 2 marks means 2 points have to be there and they two have to be different. Likewise, in the 5-mark question, you need to make number 1 paragraph. Now the new pattern is the CBSE is asking to combine you 2 chapters or 1 chapter, 1 poem and on a particular theme and answer the question. So what you can do is 1 paragraph for 1 chapter, another paragraph for another chapter, and then the connection. So this is how your long answer should be divided into 3 paragraphs rather than 1 big paragraph where the teacher again has to go through everything like in a tedious manner. So that has to be taken care of. Basically, this is what they need to take care. Otherwise, they are doing wonderful. But these are the gray areas where they tend to falter. Even the toppers tend to falter over here. So this is what they need to take care. Number 1, read the chapter poem word by word, line by line. Visualize, note down the things which they feel important about them to be remembered, and then start answering the questions read the question carefully. If it is of 2 marks, make 2 different points. 5 marks, again different paragraphs, and then you are in for full marks. Yeah, and again, yeah, one more thing I forgot is when the reference to context questions are there, so you don't have to write the general answers based on the whole chapter or the poem. Your answer should be purely based on the reference given in the question. So if a particular question is asked which has its answer in other part of the chapter or other stanzas of the poem also, and if you write that, normally it should be right, but here it will be considered wrong. Why? Because it is the question based on reference to context. So whatever has been given, you need to find out the answer from there only and mention that. So no generalized answers. Specific with respect to the reference, you have to answer the question. So this is again one thing which students are making mistake. They know the totality of the chapter or the poem, so they think, okay, let me write this answer. But then they need to be specific with respect to the reference only which is provided in the question.